Hello, everyone. We are back. It is the Canadian Bowler Show. I am Michael Patulli, joined by my fabulous co-host, Daryl Fitzgerald. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm good. Happy New Year, everybody. It has been a while since we've been live.
Yeah, it honestly has been a really long time. Did a show, right before Christmas time and took a little bit of time off, but that's sort of normal. And realistically, when it's the winter in Canada and we're covering a sport like lawn bowls, there's not as much to talk about, but we are back and there is information to pass along because one of our favorite points of the year is the WBT uh,
Yes, sir.
World Championships just concluded last weekend there. So we do have that information to pass along. So might as well, I guess, before I jump right into those results, do our normal reminder. If you are here, please do hit the like, comment, subscribe buttons. We do appreciate any sort of support and interactions we can get. Helps us immensely whenever you do push those buttons. So if you are here, please do hit them, and it does help us. If you're not able to catch the show live, we are on all major podcasting platforms. So if you're a podcasting person, it will be up there usually within the week. And we are on YouTube, the same day that we do the show. So you're able to check us out pretty much anytime after the fact. So let's get into it, Daryl. WBT, the World Championships, blue carpet, big event, was just wrapped up last week. I quite enjoyed watching this go around. There was quite a bit of North American content this go around, which was fun to see. Like we had couple different players actually make it past at least one round, which is nice. And then Julia Gallo from America was actually in 3 different events. Got to play in the ladies singles, mixed pairs, and I guess the men's or open match
Open
play,
pairs.
whatever they call it. Yeah. So it's pretty awesome to see all the players there. We'll kind of cover how everyone did. How'd you want to start this coverage out, Daryl?
Well, let's kick it off with a big one. We'll start with the men. Well, as you said, men's singles, the open singles. It used to be basically all men playing, but now it's an open singles, which is, I think, is really cool. We've obviously seen some women pop in there, like Catherine Rednall has been a staple in there since it's been open. And as you can see, right off the top, Stuart Anderson taking another big title. He's been on an unbelievable role in the WBT the last couple of years. Obviously, he's been a good player for quite some time, but he's just seems to be clicking on the blue carpet and making a name for himself. He took on Alex Marshall in the final. If you didn't check out that match, there are some fun things to watch during that match. We have a couple shorts. If you haven't checked out all the shorts that we do, we try to pick up really cool stuff from the WBT and just make quick 1-minute videos on highlights and stuff. So check out our channel for those. And we have one on the Alex Marshall, Stuart Anderson end, where there's just nonstop great shots being played, and how it ended is cool. So you have to go check that out. And the runners up for the semifinals were Paul Foster, MBE. Paul Foster had a great tournament run too. I think he just came up short on a few ends to make his critical run. And then Harry Goodwin, a new name to many. Watched him play a couple games, and he looked good. And obviously he made it all the way to the semis, so he was in good form. So hopefully we see his name back up there again. It's always nice to see some new names hit that top roster rather than the same old.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, I was going to say, what
I
were
was
your
gonna say
thoughts?
you said that exactly. I enjoy every year getting to see the new names that pop up or the unranked players that go on big long runs in the tournament. So, not terribly surprising to see Harry Goodwin go through there, because I guess it'd be just like Jamie Walker from the year before, where they're both very accomplished players out of England. So you know who they were before the tournament, but then you got to see them make their run through the tournament, and it's cool to see the new players, and then essentially an unranked player get to a semi or win it type of a thing. So I enjoyed that aspect. And as you hit on that final between Marshall and Stuart Anderson was a pretty crazy game. The one shot or one end we specifically have in that short that you referenced is pretty incredible or funny to see that Alex Marshall essentially makes a perfect shot and has two bowls that are probably less than an inch from the jack, and he's down one because Stuart Anderson's bowl is touching. So it's crazy to watch the skill that they have on the carpet there, and I just love it every year.
Shout out to the WBT for getting a lot of photos out there. It was really easy to find. As we gripe about it all the time, some events just don't have photos, so you can't quite post stuff. I just noticed there's a nice thumb or finger in this photo, but we'll take what we can get. Up in the corner, beautiful. Do you want to do the ladies match play?
Yep, sure. So ladies match play winner of the event, I believe it was her 6th championship in the event. Catherine Rednall, friend of the show. She ended up beating Julie Forrest. It was a tiebreak. Went to a tiebreak. They had a really good match. I watched that one live. It was pretty interesting because it swayed once Catherine got hold of the jack. She started to go really short on Julie, and she seemed to not be able to keep up or bring it back. So really good match though. Very back and forth. It was quite a great game between them both. If we go to the semifinals, Catherine ended up beating Nicole Rogers from England, and Julie Forrest beat Cherry Ann Glenn from Wales. So again, very good results that way. It's never surprising to see Catherine there, and especially 6th championship. Obviously, she knows how to play that carpet pretty well, and sort of as you talked about, she plays often in the open singles as well, and I think she's gotten through a couple of rounds in that before too. So great results again. The last one I think that you would have to cover, or I guess there's a couple. There's probably the mixed. I don't know the order of your photos though, Daryl, so I'll let you just jump in on the next one.
Open pairs, winners. Stuart Anderson. I mean, his name is all over the place here, but Stuart Anderson and Darren Burnett. Darren's been a little absent from the title runs in the last couple years. He's always in the mix. He just hasn't hit that top tier, so it's good to see him get back on the open pairs roster. And they beat Paul Foster and Jason Banks, another really good pairing. Jason, relatively great bowler. He kind of broke through in a couple of matches. I think it was last year. We had a whole bunch of highlights that we pulled of his games and how well he did, and he was on the national team roster as well, which was cool to see. So good pairing there, and they beat in the semifinals Robert Paxton and Jamie Walker, and then the other team was Mark Dawes and Jamie Chesney. So no shortage of really top tier names in those pairs finals. What did you think of those games, Mike?
Again, you essentially summarized everything that I would say there, that it was just a very top-notch play. A couple of the teams that lose out in the semifinals there are looking for, I think, probably 3rd or 4th time they've won it, and they always seem to have different combos of who's playing with who each year, but obviously Stuart had a pretty strong week, so good to see that they were able to team up and get a win there, because I know with the way that they do the rankings and the point system for WBT, a couple of the guys had to actually do pretty well this week to not lose their positions, and that's sort of what they had said in the commentary. And so I think Darren getting the pairs kept him in the rankings, and then what they were saying is Alex Marshall was actually unranked this year when he came into the tournament, and he had to actually get to the 3rd round to get a ranking come next year, and obviously he made it to the finals, so secured his ranking for next year. But it's with their whole ranking system, it's very cool to all these different events to see them really duking it out for the points, because they know that they do need them in order to qualify or get on that list for next year.
Absolutely right. Do you want to do the mixed pairs for the next one?
Yep, works for me. So then the mixed pairs was the other one that occurred. So the winner ended up being Nick Brett and Julie Forrest. They ended up beating Stuart Anderson and Sherry Ann Glenn from Wales. Again, that one went to a tiebreak. So it was a really back and forth game, but not terribly surprising to see Nick Brett and Julie Forrest pull it off. Again, though, Stuart in another final, so he obviously had himself one heck of a week. I don't have what the semifinals were in front of me, but if we're going to talk about some of our North American content, we did sort of touch on it earlier. Julia Gallo was in this event. She played with Mark Dawes. They ended up winning their first game against Paul Foster, and can't see don't have his partner in front of me. 1 second. Paul and Lauren Goen from Wales. They ended up winning their first one, and then Julia and team fell in the second round. But respectable showing. Julia did have also women's pairs match against Sherry Ann Glenn. Very good one between them two. So really respectable showing for her first time at Potters. If we're going Canadian side of things, I'm not sure if you have Canadian photos. Do you, Daryl?
We do. One more result to go through. We have under 25.
Oh, yes.
Just one more. So Darren Weir picking up the under 25 championship. And he defeated Rebecca Morby in the final. Really cool to see that they have an under 25 component to this, just to get that young talent out there. I do have a couple other photos. So there's the mixed pairs winners. Quick shout out to a young gun out there that I don't know if many people knew who he was when he showed up. A 15-year-old, 15, 1-5. Desmond Live from Hong Kong was in the event and played. Not the greatest of games, but it was great to see him out there trying his best. I can wager a guess that it was his first time on the blue carpet, first time in an event like this. So that's a lot to take in, especially for a 15-year-old. So my hat's off to him and what he did. Really cool. And I hope he comes back and just keeps getting better and better, because who knows what he'll do with a few more years of experience on him.
Yeah, no, 15 years old. It's crazy to get that first experience there. So if he does keep on it and keeps qualifying it, as you're saying, it'd be interesting to see where we're talking about him in a few years from now.
You know this guy, Mike?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Dylan Jacobs from he plays out of Woodstock, I think, right now, or that area. Over in the WBT, had a good run. He made it out of qualifiers, and then was it Merv King that he played and fell to?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have that right in front of me. But yeah, good on Dill for making it out and into the main draw through the qualifier. It's still a tough road, no matter what you're doing. Played Israel and made it through, but just fell short. So just another set of experiences for Dylan, and I'm sure he'll be back there trying it again. So cool. And the person we've been talking about, and the person in chat right now, Julia Gallo. Good showing from her. 3 events. Having a lot of experience. I mean, more than probably anybody would get in one single event. So hopefully we see her back there challenging everybody again and getting in those events again, because I'm sure she'll just get better and better after having those experiences. So she was in chat saying she met Martin Kreft from New Zealand, and said he played amazing and got to know him also, and he's a pretty awesome person. And then she says it was wonderful meeting Dylan, beautiful personality, and hope to meet him again. Dill's a gem. I think we can both agree that he's one of the nicest people out there. So it's always good to see nice people have that. But, and Julia's saying her first game was a miss, then started practicing at night. So that helps. Any thoughts on that, Mike?
No. Thanks for getting in the chat there, Julia. We're glad you enjoyed yourself or had a good experience there, because I know it's sometimes challenging to head over there, and you never know how you end up playing or how you end up doing. Quickly, just before we I guess wrap this up, there was Canadian and American teams in the pairs. So Richard Lyons and Jake Masterson, they ended up playing in the pairs, and they ended up losing their match to Mark McPeak and Stuart Bennett from Ireland. So it's good to see Jake and Richard on the camera there. And then the other North American team was Jesse May and Rachel Markison from the United States. They had an absolute duel with the English team that they played and went to a tiebreaker, but they ended up losing. So that does summarize all the North American content, but it was pretty respectable showings across the board. Everyone did put up a good fight in all their games, so it was really nice and exciting to watch. So is that all we got for WBT, Daryl?
Yeah, that is it. Just another comment from Julia. Jesse and Rachel played so well. Super proud. Friend here. And then she says, "Oh, shut up now." No, just keep going in chat. We love it when people chat. There's not enough people engaging us in chat, so we just absolutely love it. So no worries there.
Yeah, I think I kind of gave it justice. Jesse and Rachel's game was really good. I enjoyed that one. It was because I've never obviously met Jesse and Rachel before, but I always watch the North American players, and I was very happy to see them putting up a really good game that literally went down to the last bowl, essentially. So, okay. So then we can move forward. Couple other things we want to talk about on the show. So, less than 2 weeks from now, the South Central Open in Sun City, Arizona, is occurring. Daryl and myself are actually going to be there, and we're actually going to be playing. So these two guys here, yeah, we bowl. We actually bowl. So we determined it would be nice to go somewhere warm and escape our winters. So we went to Sun City, Arizona. I've been there many times myself, and I absolutely love it. So I convinced Daryl to bring the family down with him. So very excited to end up going. The event kicks off on the 17th. It runs through the 22nd. Daryl and I are playing the singles and the pairs. We elected to spend a little extra time with our families during the triples, so our wives will hopefully not kill us. Beyond that, though, for the ladies, they play fours, singles, pairs. The gents play singles, triples, pairs. Daryl's got the info up there. I guess you want to sort of go through the different venues. I can't really read it because I have the small screen here, but where are the venues at?
Gotta squint really hard, Mike. Where am I looking here? At least for the men's open, they have everything on that I pulled, and the singles will be at Bell and Lakeview. The triples will be at Bell and Lakeview. They just switched it to Lakeview and Bell, and then pairs will be at Lakeview and Oakmont. And I'm not 100% sure where the women's will be, but I'm assuming it'll be a combination of like Oakmont and some other greens as well that are there. And there's enough of them, so they're not at a shortage. Julia says Sun City West. So
yeah, no, they get the 4-green facility out there in Johnson. So it's a nice, very nice place. The 4 greens, running track around it, everything like that. That's probably my favorite club in America that I've played at. Nothing wrong though with the other ones that we're playing at. It's that whole area is beautiful, and anything is better than the weather that we're getting in Canada at this point. So we'll gladly go down there and probably both pick up a sunburn, because we're going to be the super pale guys out there. So it'll be great.
Yep. It'll be nice to travel down there. I haven't been down there in a very, very long time. I didn't have gray, I think, the last time. Maybe didn't even have a beard, who knows. But it'll be nice to get out with the family too. And see a whole bunch of people. I mean, I see Canadians enough up here, but I get to go down there and see more Canadians. But it'll be nice to see the US friends that I haven't seen in a long time. So looking forward to it. If you guys are down there, come catch the Canadian bowlers in action.
Yeah, and as Julia ended up saying, it will be nice to actually meet her. I've seen the name many times, so we look forward to meeting you too, Julia. And perhaps we can ring Jordan up for a Canadian Italian dinner. That sounds absolutely fantastic.
And Cam, nobody's out doing your burns. The lobster burn will go down in history as the worst burn ever.
Yeah, I don't even want to attempt to beat that. That's when you can put a Dr. Pepper can beside a guy and he's essentially the same shade as the Dr. Pepper can, you know you've got some problems. So
Exactly.
okay.
Cool.
So that's what we had for South Central Open. Definitely check that out if you are curious. If you ever are curious to go and play in events, they run a full docket of events, the South Central Division, all through the year. So if you ever are wanting to travel during the winter, specifically beginning in January, they run kind of like a holiday week almost, and then this is the other one they do, the South Central Open. So definitely check out their website if you are ever curious to go to the events in the future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I guess we can move on to what we had as our third topic on the list, Canadian Nationals. I think you had some information. Well, we've got lots to talk about, I guess, with Canadian Nationals, but you did have some information. I think it was Ontario actually came out with your guys' locations and sort of schedule of play. Is that right?
Yeah. So OLBA, one of the few that have pulled out something with definitive information, which is really cool. So I think we had alluded to some of the dates, but the actual locations weren't there before. So OLBA has put out the five-a-side will be Pickering the first weekend and Dresden the second weekend. So June 22nd and 23rd for the first round of the five-a-side, and then Dresden the second weekend, which is July 6th, 7th. Indoor singles will be at James Gardens. James Gardens is, for those that don't know, one of the few artificial turf facilities that we have in Ontario. I would argue it's probably the fastest. I haven't been to every single one of the other artificials, so I can't say that for certain, but I'm pretty confident that James Garden is one of the fastest. They just got their surface relayed, so hopefully they've ironed out some of the kinks in that stuff for the new surface. It'll probably run really fast, so it'll be at least a little more comparable than trying to play on an outdoor and then going to an indoor, which will be good. Youth under 21 will be in Kingston, July 13th and 14th. Mixed pairs will be in Woodstock. Woodstock has some of the best greens in Ontario. Jim Roth has really brought those greens back. So August 10th and 11th, so they'll have a good time there. Senior pairs in Hanover, home place of the Bester clan. That's their claim to fame. August 14th and 15th. Novice Aussie pairs. Midland will be men's and Guelph will be women. Guelph hasn't hosted something in a long time. Guelph is about half an hour ish from where I live in Kitchener-Waterloo. So I've been to their greens a lot. I haven't recently, but it's really cool to see them actually hosting something. It's been a very, very long time since they hosted. And then novice singles is still to be determined, and that's September 21st and 22nd. So really, really cool. Ralph, he is the James Gardens guy, so he's popping in saying it's now about 13 seconds, but it's completely flat. So that's cool. It might not be as fast as it was, but hopefully it's truer than it was. So I would take that any day of the week if I could get a truer surface. But, yeah.
So that's an argument. I think that's you're probably on the exact same as most people. Is just the truer the green, the better. So it's encouraging if it's a little on the flatter side now. So that's good. As I alluded to, we do have a fair bit to sort of talk about with Canadian Championships. So lots of sort of info flying back and forth. Sounds semi unofficial, but I'm pretty sure it's official with sort of the the background and the emails and stuff that I've seen on stuff. It sounds like BC is not going to be taking part in the Canadian Championship this upcoming year. So, seen a few different correspondence out of them, and looks like they're not going to be playing. So that's very disappointing, obviously, just to see, well, the second biggest bowling province in Canada essentially not playing. But with a lot of the sort of backlash and back and forth that has been going on, it doesn't terribly surprise me. BC did really draw a pretty hard line, even last year at nationals, or when the sort of the announcements went out last year. They drew a pretty hard line that they were very opposed to it. So again, I'm not terribly surprised, but in the end, it's a decision they're making, and obviously it's going to have some impacts on players. That's the only thing that kind of was, I don't know, that took me back when I read it, was it's going to prevent a lot of people from playing in any of the nationals. So any of their youth players, I don't even know how that's going to affect the indoor side of things. But again, it's not, I guess, 100% official at this point, so we don't know all the inner workings of everything. But very interesting. What were your thoughts when you sort of read that, Daryl?
Probably the same. It's shocking to read when something comes out and says, we're not going to be in the nationals. I'm like, wow, it's a big step. But I mean, it's not surprising with the lines that they were taking and some of the comments, information, posts that were coming out from the BC area. I get it. There's a good split of bowlers, some for, some against, and some in the middle that just have no idea, and some that don't care as well. But whether you like it or hate it, it's a first year of anything. Everything that we're thinking about it, that people are throwing out statistics and numbers and this and that and saying this is going to happen, it's all speculation until we actually run it. So I was always of the side that even if I don't like some of the stuff, even if I don't like all the stuff, I was willing to give it a try. And I was hoping that all provinces would see the same way, where, give it a try, be open and honest with your reservations of it, be open and honest about the things you don't like. I mean, we've been vocal on here about the 5-end sets. We're not big fans of it, but we'll give it a try and we'll see how it is. And then we'll make our comments after we actually play it and say, did it work? Did it not work? Was it okay? Or was it just really bad? Who knows? I feel really bad for any person in BC that really wants to compete. And the one person I can think of is the reigning under 18 champion, Logan Saunderson. Really up and coming, great bowler. He looked like he was just going to be a dominating force on the under. I guess now it's under 21, so the under scene. And I feel bad for him that if BC is pulling out of this, hopefully if he can fund himself to go as a sort of an independent, I don't know how that's going to work, but it sucks. I hope he's able to compete and do all the kind of stuff he wants to, but anybody that wants to play and play for their province just won't get a chance to in BC. So that's the downside. But obviously they want to make their point. They want to take a stand. So that's their prerogative. That's what they want to do. And we'll just have to... and BC ruled out the independent option. So there you go. Sucks. I say it sucks for anybody that wants to play and is really keen to give it a try.
Yeah. It's honestly shaping up to be a bit of a disaster at this point. The fact that we still don't have the host announced either is obviously pretty troublesome. I'm not gonna go and speculate. I've heard a lot of rumors. If I'm just gonna be the person that'll be like, I've heard it's going to somewhere in Ontario.
That's the rumor.
Fairly sure I know the locations, but I'm not gonna speculate. So, anyways, that's the rumors. It's going to Ontario, but it's definitely shaping up to be a bit of a disaster at this point, because when you factor in pretty much you don't have a host to the very last day. I think like if you don't have a host by February, you probably are canceling that championship, right? And then in my mind, when you have your second biggest province then pull out, it's obviously a very big problem too. Like the Saskatchewan side of things, we decided that we're going to go with the format and sort of match what sort of the intentions of it are. But we ran a survey in Saskatchewan, and the majority of people were opposed to the new format. So it's a tough sell to most bowlers. As you're sort of saying, there's a lot of people who are indifferent on it. There's a lot of people who are for it and want to try it out. I think I'm kind of the side of I'm going to try it out, but I don't think I'm going to particularly enjoy it. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen past this year. I don't really foresee it being all that successful with all the speed bumps that we've already seen it hitting before it's even on the track per se. But very interesting updates. It's going to be quite an interesting summer, and I hope that all the info gets out soon and that most of the provinces kind of stay with what it seems the norm is, that they're going to participate in its normal intention. But again, we don't know about everybody at this point, even what their intentions are.
Yeah, Ralph in the chat just saying high probability it'll be settled out in 2 weeks, so probably by our next show we'll be able to announce a host, which is kind of cool. Cam saying that clubs have an interest to host next year already. I mean, I can honestly say that even my club had thrown around the idea of putting in for hosts. Didn't ultimately want to do it this year, but are open possibly to next year and obviously if there's other clubs out there that are interested, that's kind of cool too. I think it was just this first year with everything going on. Just was tough for some people to pull that trigger, but I was just gonna say, like, I don't think it has anything to do with the changes. I think it has everything to do with just the difficulty in hosting. The changes come in play with it, but it's not like 99% because of the changes they're having issues. But there's a lot of hosting issues, and I don't think they're ever going to go away. But that's cool.
Well, I think Ralph's sort of in the chat pointing out a key thing is I think the main issue is BCB really overextended themselves trying to make it all occur in one facility. Very unrealistic to Ralph sort of saying there are 2 greens. It's pretty unrealistic to be able to host it in one facility. Yeah. You realistically need 3, maybe 4 greens, or maybe multiple clubs, 2-3 clubs type of thing. So I think that's where we're going to see a lot of the changes, probably being hosted in multiple clubs. And I don't foresee it kind of following that model that they put out, because that new hosting agreement was honestly terrible. Like I've read through it a couple times myself, and that new hosting agreement is very difficult for host clubs to figure out all the logistics that were involved with hosting that full circuit event, or whatever you want to call it, that they were doing. Yeah. So very interested to see what the end result is. I'm pretty sure it's being split up into a bunch of different parts over a couple of weeks, sort of what I had kind of heard, and we'll see if that ends up working out. And I know they do have a review committee that every province is sort of sending their representatives to, and they're going to gather feedback and review the changes at the end of the year. And I really would anticipate that there's going to be pretty significant overhaul, barring it's a tremendous success, obviously.
I'm just excited to give it a try, ultimately. I mean, at this point, it's a huge change. There's a lot of changes involved, a lot of moving parts. So I'm just excited to see it go and what will come out of any review and stuff of it. So that's kind of it at this point until we actually get our hands dirty and get in there and start playing.
Yep, exactly. Just to summarize Ralph's last few comments, pretty much he's saying the financial agreements have been made better now, and then it's going to be over more of a 1-week period. So good to hear. No, cool. It's positive that it's moved in a better direction, because obviously it wasn't a very good starting point if we're not able to get a host until essentially the last minute. So last sort of topic that I guess we wanted to cover is the Canadian national team still has yet to be announced. Obviously, I think they're supposed to have announced it in November. Correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl.
End of October, yeah. Early November, yeah.
So then obviously probably some sort of appeals or something going on that preventing the team from being announced. Hopefully sometime soon we'll be able to talk about our Canadian national team being announced, but we aren't able to at this point, which is pretty unfortunate because I'm very, very interested to see who end up making the squad. Anything you wanted to add about what I've said there, Daryl?
No, I mean, I've been part of the selection process on the player side and the admin side, the HPC side, and at being a regional coach in Ontario and running some of those camps with players in it, I was brought in kind of the early part to just give feedback and observations and do that kind of stuff while they were gathering all their information. So I know that everything has been moving and was moving really well. So hopefully we'll hear something soon. I don't remember the last situation where it was delayed this long, but I'm sure the team will come out eventually. All I can say is just like everything else, be careful of the speculation out there on the internet for everything, even in Lawn Bowls groups. People are posting stuff that they think is correct, which is far from the truth. Until you see something come out and posted, just be wary of what other people are posting and putting down as fact, because I can say that most certainly it's not. So that's it.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's my public service announcement for the day.
Yeah, all I want to say is God bless those players that were selected and have had to essentially be quiet about it for the last 2 months. Yeah. I really hope it ends soon so that you can start telling people and talking about it publicly, because obviously it's a pretty important thing to a lot of people to make Team Canada. So hopefully maybe our next show we're able to bring it out and make some announcements and maybe have a discussion about who ended up getting picked.
I mean, Derek Dillon's in the chat, and he's obviously the head coach of the national team. He said squad selection was complete and on time, and that's correct. It's just there's lots of stuff going on, and eventually the completed final version of the team will come out, and there's policies and paperwork and all those clauses in there for a reason, and everything needs to be followed to give it fair and equal treatment to everybody. So just keep your pants on. It'll come out. Mike.
Well said. Okay. I think that's all we really wanted to cover today. Is that right, Daryl?
Yeah. Currently my Lions are down, so rip.
Anyway. So you gotta twist the hat around, put the rally hat on, maybe
that's right.
Do something else. Take those pants off. I don't know, something to spark the Lions to bring a big comeback for you. But if you are here, final reminder to please do hit those like, comment, subscribe buttons. We really do appreciate it. It's been fun to actually get into the chat. We've had quite an active chat tonight, which is nice, and we do love interacting with all of you. So please, if you are here, hit all those buttons. We really do appreciate it. Any of the support we get really is going back into the channel, and we really do hope to have some big announcements for all of you in the future with some exciting news coming from the Canadian Bowler in the immediate future. So with that, thanks for coming, and may all your bowls be touchers.